Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aries energy, and like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Aries energy, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy. We've all got our dualistic nature, and we've kind of got a battle within ourselves. Some people might be battling within themselves because they'd like to move forward in life a little differently. But in our shadow nature of our fear and our insecurity and our pride and our ego, we could be afraid of living our life more authentically or trying something different. Sometimes we have other people in our life that wouldn't be happy if we lived our life differently. And, sometimes we do want to move forward in life differently and other people in our life don't want to. And then we've got to struggle within ourselves about if we're, are we on the same page? Are we not on the same page? And then there's always going to be people in the world who do harness, oh my gosh, that's a lot. People who do harness their Aries energy in a much more high vibrational way. Whether they're a Aries sun sign or not, we all harness Aries energy. And we either harness it in a more high vibe, a more worldly, or a more shadowy way. And so it's just one of the things that we're probably trying to kind of match up with people when we meet them. Which Aries fire sign energy can be kind of what inspires you, what motivates you, what are your dreams? Is it you who motivates you in a more shadowy way where you're more about yourself? Are you more about the world and ego and image and lust and greed and pride and ego? Or high vibe Aries is people who do want to learn lessons in life, have learned lessons in life, trying to make good decisions in their life out of truth and love and justice and fairness, treat other people the way they like to be treated, act with character and integrity, are actually a good leader in the world. Some people want other people to follow them, want to look like a boss in the world, male or female, but they're like immature in some way, but some it's all about, I want to look like a boss because of the money and the status and the image and the power. But they're not qualified for the position, right? But they want it anyway. Okay, we're going to end the bottom row there. So, the reason for the top row's reading and the reason why it came out is because of the devil. The devil are things that happen in our life, and it can represent our own fears and insecurities. How our more worldly nature tries to manipulate us. And some people shed an old layer of themselves. They used to live life a certain way. They used to view life a certain way. They could have been out of balance. They could have indulged poor behavior in themselves or in other people. Somehow they learned some lessons in life and they don't want to repeat a past pattern. And they've kind of freed themselves from things that manipulate them. And there could have been people in their life that were trying to manipulate them or control them or kind of didn't want them to grow to their full potential. I want you to stay here at this job or in this friendship or in this relationship and indulge me. Don't have hope and faith and belief in yourself and in your own dreams because I don't do that. And you'd be hanging out with different people then, or you'd go get a different job. Some people weren't willing to keep indulging their own shadowy nature, and when they weren't willing to stay in that energy, then they weren't kind of in that energy with other people who are in more shadowy energy to some degree. And they're not the same person they were before. So we have the Two of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. The Ten of Swords is Gemini energy. In our dualistic nature, people could have been more caught up in things of the world. People could have been more caught up in their head, in their fear, their insecurity, and their self-limiting beliefs. And between the Two of Swords and the Ten of Swords is the Eight of Swords, which can be about being in a mental prison. And some people decided to listen to their intuition about these things that manipulated them and people in their life who manipulated them. The devil card is Capricorn energy. Some people could have been dealing with a Capricorn, but the devil card also looks just like the lover's card, except that these people are kind of chained and shackled. And, love is supposed to be where you treat other people the way you like to be treated, and you're just and you're fair, and you act with character and integrity, and you're loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging. And for some people, they have a shadowy way of viewing relationships. Well, I should be able to be bossy and controlling. It should be more about me. I should be able to be manipulative and abusive, and you should want to stay in a relationship with me anyway. And we all could have, because we'll all repeat a certain pattern until we don't want to repeat that pattern anymore. We realize maybe that we're repeating a pattern, and we try to figure out, why in the hell do I do this? Why am I in a mental prison that I'm unwilling to maybe previously have seen the truth, and then in high vibe Leo, kind of love and believe in myself and believe in my dreams? And so some people did do that work to get to the truth and deal with issues within themselves in their own ego nature, of how their own ego nature and their own worldly nature manipulates them. My fear, my insecurity, my codependency, my want for these things of the world, but am I willing to give up my dreams and living my authentic life and being more authentically myself in order to have those things? And some people just couldn't sacrifice that. And maybe for a while they were. And they worked through it. And the Queen of Wands I view as Leo energy, and the queens can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine energies can represent how we're presenting ourselves in the world, action that we're taking in the world, but they can also represent that we were more operating from our more worldly egoic viewpoint in life. And we maybe just weren't listening to our intuition when we got lessons to learn about listening to our intuition. And we as human beings think we're so smart. Oh no, I'm sure this will work. I can make it work. Even if their intuition was telling them, this this is toxic, this is unhealthy, this is manipulative, they're tempting you in your lesser greed, your pride, your ego, your codependent nature. You shouldn't do it, but we all got lessons to learn, and sometimes we didn't listen to our intuition. And we go get involved in those situations in our life. And that whole life experience of coming in contact with all these different people in the world is to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And some people realize that, for one, I don't like to be manipulated and controlled. I don't like to be in a relationship with people who are maybe more bossy or controlling or manipulative or egotistical or more about themselves. I do have hope and faith and belief in love, and I think love is supposed to be just and fair, and maybe I got in a relationship that wasn't so balanced because I was out of balance. But now, the Two of Swords is Libra energy, about the scales of justice. I am going to do work within myself to harness more high vibrational Libra energy about what I think is just and fair, because maybe what I used to think was just and fair in relationships or workplace or friendship, it ended up being so hurtful and painful, maybe, I just can't keep doing it. And I got to work through why I do it. And so then they got to the truth that I need to love and believe in myself. I view High Vibe Leo as being like your own best mother, father, coach voice to yourself. I am going to offer myself love and compassion, forgiveness for the lessons I've had to learn. I'm going to offer love, compassion, forgiveness to other people in my life who haven't learned those lessons or didn't learn those lessons. I don't want to keep repeating the same pattern and operating more from my fear, my insecurity, my ego, my lust, my greed, my codependency. I want to free myself, and I'm going to, the Leo is also represented by the sun, I'm going to shed light on the devil. These things within me that manipulate me, that make me stay in relationships with other people who are in some more kind of shadowy energy. Because the only person I can change is me. And there's a reason why I was drawn and attracted to get in certain relationships or friendships with people. And so there's always going to be shadowy people in the world. I don't want to keep being drawn and attracted to them. And one thing could be that I'm not going to try to change other people, and I'm going to work through my own fears and stuff like that. So I'm not in that energy anymore. So I think high vibe people did do this work within themselves. Some people are doing this work within themselves right now. Other people in their life don't know they're kind of doing that work within themselves. And what the high vibe people did have to do, and some of them did already do it, and they've illuminated the devil, no longer in denial. You know, we can all keep repeating a pattern because we don't want to see the truth. Oh, I am more codependent. Oh, I do try to change people. I do, I was more caught up in the world. Some of them are living their truth, being authentically themselves. And if there's people in their environment that they know are kind of unjust, unfair, bossy, controlling, prideful, manipulative, egotistical, more materialistically motivated, they're keeping their distance from those people. And they could be focusing on work because Capricorn energy and the devil can represent work. And I'm going to focus maybe on my career. If there's no one in my life that seems to be a good match, there might be people in the world. The devil can represent people that we could find attractive, could be charming, could have money, whatever. But they could be married, so kind of the devil would be you're kind of off limits. But I could be attracted to them, but until I have an opportunity, and I might have already communicated with them, but until I get to know them more to find out how they harness these energies, because I've already been in relationships with people who were hiding that they harness those energies in a shadowy way. And I don't want to get in relationships with people who are hiding that they do harness more shadowy energy. Let's go look at the shadowy energy. The Nine of Pentacles, the Nine of Wands, the King of Wands, and the Six of Pentacles. We could have all gotten into jobs, friendships, or relationships because a different one ended, right? Is what the Ten of Swords can be. And we could have been single. And we could have been defensive to being more bold and brave and confident within ourselves to kind of balance out and reconcile ourselves with some of these issues of the past that hadn't worked out. You know, if we had done that and we were inspired to get more balance within ourselves, but sometimes we don't even realize we're out of balance. We don't realize we're more codependent. We don't know we're kind of indulging poor behavior in ourselves or in others. We kind of got to repeat these patterns a few times. And the Nine of Wands and Sagittarius energy is about higher learning and education. And we've all got growing up and maturing to do. We maybe aren't listening to our intuition, haven't learned to love and believe in ourselves, can still have hope and faith and belief and love, but we're still kind of tipped out of balance. Might do things living more from our mind than our heart. This seems logical and practical. I'm kind of defensive. I'm single. I could do this work within myself to get more balanced, but that does take work and effort, and kind of the devil, we want to feel better now. So instead of doing the work it takes to free ourselves from things that manipulate us, we might repeat some patterns and old ways of being to feel better, because the devil is kind of about short-term gratification. We want to feel better now. And then we can look more to these things of the world to make us feel better. Drugs, booze, getting in a relationship, money, status, image, indulgence, whatever. All those things to try that we think are the answer. And some people are doing that right now, because that's still where the phase of life where they're at. But we all could have gotten in relationships. We all could have been more naive. The Nine of Wands in Sagittarius is also represented by the Knight of Wands. We're not a King of Wands yet. We still have more lessons to learn. In tarot, we have the pages, the knights, the kings, the queen, the emperor, the empress, the hierophant, and the high priestess. We've kind of got to go through these life experiences, just like kind of like you go through grade levels at school to learn lessons. You just don't pop out in the world at 8 years old or 21 years old having learned these lessons. You've got to go through these life experiences. There's things we don't see the truth of yet. And one of the things we might not see the truth of is how our egoic, worldly nature manipulates us, and how other people in the world can be operating more from their more egoic nature. And, again, we're going to come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And then the fact is that there is other people in the world that are looking to manipulate other people for their own selfish reasons. Some people could have seemed to be someone that we thought was a counterpart to us. The King and Queen of Wands would be a counterpart. But maybe the person, whether we're male or female, and whether that person is male or female, we all have thoughts and feelings, is what the Queen of Wands represents. And in the King of Wands, we can all go present ourselves in the world. But some people were presenting themselves in the world as someone who was kind of more inspired by truth and love, but maybe really they weren't. And so, but in fiery energy, we can be attracted to them. We could view them as someone who is more on the same page as us. They could have been attractive or charming, whatever. We just thought we were kind of on the same page. So, and we both could have been single. And then we move forward in a relationship. We both could be working through some of our more defensive nature to be more authentically ourselves, is what High Vibe Queen of Wands is. To be more bold and brave and confident. And during the course of a relationship, one person could have always been more just and fair, or more balanced, or more hopeful and believing in love. The other person, maybe not as much, a little more defensive. In a shadowy Six of Pentacles relationship, Taurus energy, some people like a more transactional relationship. And, well, you bring this to the table, I bring this to the table. We should exchange resources. But the Ten of Swords can be, I want to stay in that type of relationship. I don't want to go to like the next phase of a relationship. I have a way of living life, a way of viewing life, a way of viewing relationships. Some people just want to stay single, and they don't want to go into maybe a more formal commitment, or let's enjoy life and let's hang out, but they may never want to get more balance within themselves. And then we can get in relationships with them or take that job, because Taurus energy can represent all those different things in the world. And then we could realize that I thought we were both going to work through our fears and insecurities to kind of work together in a phase of life. But I thought, we'd kind of get out of the Six of Pentacles, can talk about getting out of this phase of life to go to that phase of life. Because we take the lessons that we've learned and we add them to our philosophy of life and how we view life. And that's what Taurus energy is about our philosophy of life. And during the course of a relationship that we have with people, we could see that, we can get in a relationship, and instead of, we kind of lose ourselves in a relationship in a way where we had been more independent. We could have had better boundaries. But then kind of when we get in a relationship and we can kind of quit operating from our more independent foundation, from the Nine of Pentacles down to the Six of Pentacles, is letting go of a Three of Pentacles. And in a way that can be good, because we're ready to move forward in a relationship and kind of go to the next phase. And some other people are like, I'm not ready to detach from that old phase of life, or being single, or being more about myself, or being defensive, or letting my more defensive egoic nature run my life. And they may never have any interest in doing that. And they might always want to live their life being a little bit more about themselves, being a little more defensive, being more about the world, being more about being in relationships and getting in relationships and staying in relationships, more for the ego and the image and the money and materialism. And some of them are willing to get married and want to get married, male or female. And some people could be at that kind of decision point right now in a relationship. And some people could be thinking, should I stay in this relationship because I kind of think this person is more about being in it, more for the ego and the image, or the indulgence of, just indulging in a relationship and having someone to indulge in a relationship with. But I don't really know if it's love. There can be, there can be kind of loving feelings, but maybe people are kind of oppressing and kind of controlling, or bossy, or stubborn, or live more from their mind than their heart. And if you're a high vibe person, you're inspired by love. And you want to be in relationships with other people who are inspired by love. And if that's not really how they want to live their life, you do kind of operate, you harness your Gemini of your free will of how you want to live your life differently. Your truth is different than their truth. And there could be some people right now that are like, I can be attracted to people. I could like them. I could like the relationship. I could like being in a relationship with them. But they're never going to quit being more petty, envious, jealous, controlling, fearful. They could get all up in their head. They could be kind of more bossy and controlling. They could be defensive to taking more inspired action in their life, to step out of their comfort zone. And they want to keep repeating a certain pattern and like live life like this. Let's not do life any differently, because then I would have to kind of harness my fire sign energy differently. We have all 3 fire signs here. And in our fire sign energy, we are kind of more motivated by the world and these things of the world that we want to indulge in and manifest, which can even be getting married and having children. But then there can come a time in our life, in our fire sign energy, where, that was a phase of life. That was what we were focused our attention on. I can still like those things and want to move forward with those things. But in my fire sign energy, I'm kind of more inspired to add to my foundation. Like, let's bring it all to the next phase of a relationship where we do, we're ready to move forward in life a little differently. If you did get married, we're done just being married. Maybe next thing is children, or we did have children, or now the children are older. Now we can kind of focus on that next phase of life of things that we'd like to do. Or maybe the children have left the nest, and now we're looking at going to that next phase of life. And the whole thing is, sometimes some people, it's like, no, I want to keep repeating this pattern. We should just keep doing what we've always done. And that, kind of like the death card and the 10 of swords and the devil, it can all be that not giving birth to anything new. And it seems stagnant, and it seems limiting and restricting and oppressive and confining. And the high vibe people are offering truth and love and inspiration. And some people are like, no, I'm still defensive to that. I don't want to do life differently. This is my comfort zone. We should keep doing this. Maybe making our life still being more inspired by the world. And this looks good. It looks stable. We look by the devil. It can look like we have all these things of the world that people would want. We should just keep doing this. It's just like, can't we ever do anything different? Why, and a more shadowy energy of like Taurus and the devil and all of that and Virgo can just be that it is making our life more about conforming to the world, where we just don't, well, I'd like to go do this. Oh, well, other people aren't doing that. It's like, so? Well, no, and I don't know other people who are doing that. So we should, it's like conforming to the world, right? And that makes me think of that Bible verse. Don't conform yourself to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. If we all, high vibe energy at the big picture represented by God is about giving birth to new things and living your own authentic truth in your own authentic life from truth and love, not wanting to be a derelict, not wanting to hurt other people. I just want to go live my more authentic life. And some people are like, no, I don't want to go live my more authentic life. We should make our life about doing these things. That's what other people do. And, we should conform to the world, and don't you be more authentically yourself, and don't you do things different. Taurus energy can be like all these rules and regulations in our head. You should do this, don't do that. Act like this, don't act like that. Dress like this, don't dress like that. Hang out with these people, not those people. It can be just all these things. Why not go live your life and go be free to live your authentic life? I'm going to act like this, dress like this, hang out with these people, talk to those people, go to these places, not those places. I'm not doing it for any shadowy, derelict kind of reason. I'm just go living my life. But some people never live their more authentic life. Like, oh no, people have said things about that place. We could only go there if they're there. So we can only go there if they're there. Yeah, but they went there. And they went there first. If they're there, we can go. Then it's okay. But we can't go there first? Well, no. It's just, if they go there, it's okay. But we can't go there. It's just like, oh my God, like, I'm just going to go live my authentic life. And I'm not going to be dressing in ways or acting in ways or doing things that are bizarre. I'm just going to go live my authentic life. And I don't think I should have to abide, by all these rules that someone came up with once upon a time. Or this one person has these rules. It's like, where'd you get your rules from? Sometimes people are more motivated and inspired by other people in their life, and they want to repeat however those people live their life. That's like how they want to live their life. And it's like, but what about your own dreams, your own aspirations, living your authentic life? Oh no, I don't dare do that. I was discouraged from doing that. That was considered bad in my growing up. So we need to do things the way they did things. And that maybe seemed victorious and successful. So we should do that. It's like, well, when you get in relationships with other people, they might not want to live their life that way and repeat that old pattern. I might not want to live my life the way your parents lived their life. I might want to do other things. Well, they didn't do that, so we can't do that. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, but we can all be tempted to stay in something because of the stability, the security. We like them, they like us. There might be some shadowy traits and characteristics, but we can all be tempted in our more worldly nature to not listen to our intuition, not believe in ourselves, not live our more authentic life. And some people are like, I can't do that anymore. So they did this work within themselves to not harness these energies in a more shadowy way. And they realized that there's maybe, when they quit harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way, there's probably going to be some people that weren't going to that would turn their back to them. No, if you live your life like that, and you think like that, or you believe like that, or whatever, you look at life differently. You have a different philosophy of life. That's not my philosophy. I'm going to go find someone else who thinks like I do and views life like I do, which we all are looking for people who are kind of on the same page as us. And those people were willing to let go of some of the ways of living their life or viewing relationships, and they knew that some of those people probably then wouldn't be in their life anymore. And they had to work through all of that within themselves. So what are those cards? The Page of Swords, the Knight of Wands, the High Priestess, the Ace of Wands, the Six of Cups, the Page of Cups, and the Eight of Wands. So, the Page of Swords can represent all three of the air sign energies of Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. The Knight of Wands is Sagittarius. The Eight of Wands is Sagittarius. Again, we could have all been more codependent. We all could have been more caught up in the world and more codependent on the world. We've got to live our life like this. And the world tells us if we make our life about these things, we'll be happy. And we kind of all could have been more immature and more self-indulgent is what the Knight of Wands can talk about in shadowy Sagittarius. You know, we have lessons to learn. And we could be hiding that our more high vibe nature would like us to be more inspired and in the Six of Cups reconcile ourselves with some issues from our past so that we can offer it peace and move on from it. But if we haven't realized how some of those issues from our past, even our own past patterns, the relationship dynamics that we grew up in, and ways of kind of indulging poor behavior in ourselves and others, if we really haven't seen how we need to maybe work through some of those things and can benefit from it, we'll be drawn and attracted to get in relationships with certain people because we have lessons to learn from them to help us get more clear about our truth. And we could have been hiding that we got in some relationships with people because we were still in more codependent energy, or they did remind us of someone from our past, is what the Six of Cups talks about. And we can sometimes be drawn and attracted to people because kind of subconsciously they have certain traits and characteristics about them, like people we knew before, and then we're kind of staying in our comfort zone for one thing. But also, we could have some issues with some people from our past that we wish were more just and fair and loving, and maybe they weren't. And so then we can be drawn and attracted to people who have some of those traits and characteristics. And we're hoping this time to get us out of our ego about it, that that person who seems to have those same types of ways of being will love us. It's kind of like I inspired the devil to change. Well, odds are that doesn't work, right? People are the way they are. If they wanted to be a more just and fair person, a more mature person, a more loving person, a more motivated person, they would be that type of person. And that's when, during the course of those relationships, we can kind of realize, like, oh shit, I've been repeating a pattern. This person reminds me of this person in my life. And I kind of ding, 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 have that light bulb moment that, oh my gosh, this person has some of those same traits and characteristics. I already knew I didn't like those kind of traits and characteristics. Why did I get myself in a relationship with someone like that again? And it can be confusing. The Six of Cups is Scorpio energy. We're emotionally complex human beings. We have these complicated relationships with people where I love them, but I might not like them. Or I have love for them, but I wish they could be different. And then we come to the conclusion, you know what? I'm done trying to change people. And I could realize that's kind of what drove and motivated me. And I could have been repeating a pattern. I don't want to repeat that pattern. So I'm going to stop indulging in that old pattern. My inner child truth in my Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini energy of what I think is just and fair and the dreams that I have seen the truth that if I were to go shadowy Sagittarius, can kind of be about giving in to our more immature, self-indulgent nature. If I were to go do that, I'd just be sabotaging myself because I've probably already seen the truth that they have those ways of being. If they were wanted to be a different person, have different traits and characteristics and ways of viewing the world, be more loving, be more just, be more fair, be more inspired, they would be. And I am done trying to motivate and inspire other people to swap one foundation and philosophy of life for another. They have to make that decision within themselves in their own Gemini nature of their dualistic nature. And they've already shown me they're not willing to do that, or they wouldn't be that type of person to begin with. And now I've also learned to listen to my intuition, and I'm more inspired to offer peace to the past. Love is what frees us. I'm going to offer love and compassion to all of it. Everybody is where they're at. Everybody had the free will to choose to free themselves from their more past pain and heartbreak, their immaturity, their defensiveness, their self-protective nature, their shadowy nature. And if they didn't, they didn't. And if they won't, they won't. And I just wish y'all peace. I've come to a place of peace about it. Not everybody chooses to work through those issues to free themselves from it. We have to be willing to look at the truth, because the truth sets us free. And some people don't want to look at the truth. They don't want to see the truth about themselves. They don't want to see the truth about why they act the way they act and why they do what they do, because that would require them to maybe look at issues from their past that they want to just keep buried beneath the surface and not look at. Okay, that's your free will. But I'm going to wish you peace and I'm going to move on. Because I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. And I don't want to, if I see that their truth isn't my truth, I'm going to go find people in the world who I think have learned some of the same lessons I have that challenge me. The devil can be where it challenges us to grow and heal and mature ourselves. And why did we sometimes maybe reject people who we could have been attracted to? Because they did kind of have a different philosophy of life than we did at that time. And it could have been, no, I'm going to go get in a relationship with these people because then it's more about me trying to change them and work through their issues and their viewpoints on life than me being in a relationship with someone who kind of challenges me to work through my issues and my viewpoints in life. So that's where it can kind of be from ego also. If we get in a relationship with someone who we think is more immature, bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, I guess if it doesn't work out, we can say, oh, well, that person was toxic. Well, that person was immature. Well, that person, we all knew they were bossy and controlling or more materialistic or whatever, And then it also, but it didn't require, we could have grown and matured ourselves in that relationship, but it kind of grew and matured us using negative situations versus more loving situations. And we could have taken the hard road versus the more easy road. But, we all got to learn those lessons. So, if high vibe people were more immature like all of us were, kind of defensive to being more inspired to go on an adventure and listen to their intuition, and previously did repeat some poor past patterns and were kind of more tempted in their codependent nature, their lesser greed, their pride, their ego, they did, and they're done. They shed at least that layer. We have layers and layers of our worldly nature. But they learned some lessons, just like at age 15, we learned some lessons. We quit aligning with some of those ways of being. Then we became an 18-year-old. We had new lessons, new fears, new insecurities that we had to work through. And then we shed some of those and we became a 21-year-old, And some people are motivated and inspired to keep doing that in their life, and other people aren't. When we were younger, there could have been people in our life that like, no, you're not going to keep doing this. You got to go out there. You need to go face your fears. And so we could have had people before who kind of forced us to go do those things. And then some people embodied that within themselves, that now I'm going to take over that role within myself again, to like love and encourage myself to overcome my fears. Other people could have forcefully been pushed to go do certain things in the world, but they never wanted to do those things anyway. And they could just be more codependent people who don't like to be more independent and haven't learned to love and believe in themselves. And then they could look to get in relationships with people who they think are in that energy. And then, like, oh, I have a built in person in my life who is that loving and encouraging person for me. But they never do the work within themselves to embody that energy within themselves. But so it can be like kind of feeding off of someone. Well, you're loving and encouraging and help me feel more balanced and loving and encouraging, but they never take over that role within themselves. So it's always kind of being more codependent on you. And even if you're a loving person and they're kind of defensive to love, but they like to be in relationships with loving people, but don't do the work to become a more authentically loving person, to free themselves from things that manipulate them. And then the high vibe people don't really want to be in a relationship with them anymore as time goes by. Shadowy people can try to control someone that they're kind of using to feel better or to indulge in a relationship with, or it's good for their ego or their image, but they don't want to do the work to be more on the same page of being more just and fair and getting out of their head and getting out of their fear, or maybe a sense of entitlement that, well, I think it should be more about me and you should want to be in a relationship with me. It's like, and maybe some people just do this work within themselves, and then the other people don't like it because you change. You used to be in shadowy energy, now you're not. Now they don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And we got to deal with all that, the emotional confusion of it, and it's just seeing that kind of my truth is different than your truth, and maybe we do have different dreams, and I am inspired to face my fears, and I do want to step out of my comfort zone, and I don't like things manipulating me. You might not mind things and within you and the world and other people in your life manipulating you, but I don't like it. And so I'm going to free myself from things that manipulate me. So I had to let go of people who I could have felt do defend maybe their more immature nature, and they could feel it's just and fair to be more immature in a relationship. It's like, initially maybe I might have put up with that in other relationships, in this relationship, but eventually I get tired of putting up with it, right? And you listen to your intuition, it's like, oh my God, I've already been in relationships with people who act like this. I don't want to be in relationships with this. It's toxic. I'm going to wish them peace, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to face my own fears about detaching from this and moving forward in life differently. And some other people could be doing that within jobs and friendships and relationships that they're in. Other people have done it, and they're just kind of living their life. Again, could be being inspired more to focus on people in their life who do keep challenging them to not indulge their more shadowy nature, their more immature nature, codependent nature, people who challenge them to love and believe in themselves and put work and effort into freeing themselves from things that manipulate them. And then we move forward and we kind of communicate to other people how we're moving forward, wondering if they're on the same page as us or not. Some of those people are like, hell no, I ain't doing that. I got me someone who lives life the way I live it, and I'm happy. I'm going to keep doing this. It's like, okay, you do you. And the devil's always going to be there. When you're in more high vibe energy, your shadow nature and other shadowy energy and people in the world try to tempt you in your shadow nature to quit loving and believing in yourself. And you have to keep offering truth and love to your own shadow nature. Kind of like, no, you've got to sit in the back seat. I know you want me to stop doing this because you want to go do these things, but we've already been there and we've already done that and it didn't work out. So we're going to try something different now. And then we offer love and encouragement to our own shadow nature instead of other shadowy people in our life to try to get them on board with us. You know, I'm going to move forward with other people who do this work within themselves, and we're both going to face our fears about the fact that we do have hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in love and in others, and we both know the truth that there are no guarantees. At any time in life, people can give in to their more shadowy ways of being. But high vibe people know, I've learned about the devil now. I can pick myself up. I can get out of relationships. I am not that codependent on you. Do I want the relationship to work? Yes. Am I going to indulge you in poor behavior? No. And then those people have the free will choice to knock it off and get back on board, temper themselves, their ego, or not. And whatever you choose to do, I'll be okay. Because I didn't make you the center of my universe. God and having hope and faith and belief and love is the center of my universe. And if people show me or start to show me that's not their truth, then I will let you know that I don't think we're on the same page, and I'll move on. And I'm not going to keep indulging people who choose to go in shadowy energy. What's coming? And as you're in that high vibe energy, other people could find you very attractive and challenging. Like, can I be the next person to indulge in a relationship with them? Can I be the next person to try to tempt them in their lust and their greed and their pride and their ego? But if, I think, again, you're just listening to your intuition about different people in your life, and the sword and the wand can be about getting to know people, but in the Two of Swords, you're maintaining balance within yourself and treating other people the way you like to be treated, being warm, being loving, being authentic. But I'm not going to entertain the devil. If my intuition tells me, well, for one, if you're in another relationship or you're married, no. And if my intuition tells me, I think you're kind of shadowy, no. And some of those people are mad, in a way, because they might want to be in a relationship with you, but they got to go find someone else to be in a relationship with, or they are going to have to work through their own defensiveness about their philosophy of life and relationships and decide if they want to put an end to an old way of viewing life and relationships to up their game. So what's coming up for people who harness a more high vibrational Aries energy that they might not see coming? Some people could have communicated with some people. Other people don't know it since those cards aren't showing themselves. They could have communicated with someone who does kind of inspire them to love and believe in themselves, or that they're just attracted to. They could be hiding that they could be attracted to that person, or again, that they communicated with that person. They could have, if there's someone they know, they could have fond memories of that person, is what the Six of Cups can talk about. They could even be hiding that they love that person and they'd like to move forward with that person. But because maybe of their own fears and insecurities, some of them aren't going to take action on it. They're going to keep living their life the way they've been living it. And other people will do this work within themselves to figure out, get more clear about what their truth is, and maybe offer that love and encouragement to the people in their life to see if those people are willing to move forward with them in that kind of energy. And if those people aren't, then, you know, I'm going to let go of this relationship to align with a different friendship group or workplace or relationship. In the meantime, the high vibe people just keep moving forward. You know, at the big picture, you could look at it like God and the devil battling each other. It's like, I'm going to trust the divine has a plan for my life. I'm not going to take action more out of lust and greed and pride and ego and fear and insecurity. And I believe if I do that, I'm in alignment with life-giving energy. And I believe that since life is about learning lessons and I'm not repeating an old pattern, the devil could be mad, but I think I will have a new beginning because I'm inspired by truth and love. And so that means, yes, going to a different level, you face different devils, but the devil is there to try to give us that free will choice about, do I still have hope and faith and belief in my dreams? Do I give in to go repeat an old pattern, give in to fear and insecurity? Or do I keep kind of walking the talk? And the high vibe people are willing to face their next level of lessons in life. Tired of repeating a certain pattern. I have learned the lesson I was meant to learn from it. What's coming up for high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming? Well, that one kind of stuck in my hand. The Ten of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is Aries energy. You're taking action. The difference between the One Wand and the Three of Wands is the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is I have a dream. And in the Queen of Wands and in your Capricorn energy, you are taking action to bring those dreams into reality. And because you're taking that action, what you don't see coming, will have a very stable, abundant in lots of different ways, a balance. I do have some of these things of the world that I want, but I also have more authentic, just, fair, balanced, loving relationships in my life because I'm no longer trying to change other people, indulging other people in poor behavior. I'm focused on working with people who have learned some of these same lessons as me. And then you seem very stable and abundant and attractive and inspiring in the world. And there's other people who are going to want to be in a relationship with you for that reason. And you're going to listen to your intuition about who you think is more on the same page as you and who is not. Other people who harness high vibe Aries, high vibe Virgo, high vibe Leo, high vibe Libra. And in their air sign energy, because the Ace of Swords can represent all of the air signs, that in your high vibrational Libra, Aquarius, Gemini energy, being in relationships with other people who harness high vibe Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, aligned with believing in their dreams, looking at life from a higher perspective, being balanced within themselves, and treating other people the way they like to be treated. What's coming up for people who harness a more shadowy Aries energy that they don't see coming? The Chariot, the Five of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. Why? Because of the Nine of Swords. Everybody can try to create an illusion in the world, living more from their mind than their heart, from their fear, from their insecurity, from their bossy, controlling nature, their pride, their ego, their lust, their greed. They can try to present themselves as a more emotionally balanced, loving person so that people will get in relationship with them. And I think even shadowy people like to be in relationships with loving people. it's an environment we thrive in. We like being in relationships with people who are tempered in their ego, high vibe Leo energy. They're balanced, they're stable, they're abundant in lots of ways, they're creative, they're inspiring, you know, and they like to get in relationships with people like that also. And some of them right now are in other relationships with people who are like that. But they're kind of trying to move forward with the Five of Wands, can mean the competition. They actually operate from their more worldly, shadowy energy, but they try to present themselves as being high vibe. And now, again, the high vibe people are kind of motivated by truth and love in their Gemini energy, in their Libra, Aquarius, Gemini energy. And they kind of have inner conflict over time moving forward with these people because they see those people have inner conflict about love. They can use, again, it's like they can seem like they love you, that they're attracted to you, that they want to be in a relationship with you, and they could be attracted to you and want to be in a relationship with you. They just have inner conflict about love or being more authentically themselves. And so then you feel like you're in a relationship with someone's cardboard cutout person. Like their real authentic nature is just looking out through the eyeballs, but their more shadowy nature runs their life. And I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who has so much inner conflict with love that the high vibe, the people in their life who harness high vibe Cancer, high vibe Leo, the air sign energy, Aries energy, they're more inspired by truth and love. And eventually those people work through their own mental conflicts about leaving. And some of those people right now could have some people who are deciding to end a relationship with them, whether it's friends or family members or a romantic interest, because they keep kind of being more defensive, more about themselves, not really wanting to do more equal give and take the relationship to the next level, want it to stay a more transactional kind of relationship. This makes practical, logical sense. You should stay in it. But it's like, but I don't want, if it's not love, why am I staying? Is it more because of these things of the world? And they would say, that's why I'm going to stay. Or I like you. I want to be in a relationship. I don't want to go find someone else. I'll have sex with you. We have stability. We have security. We have all these things. But it's like not love. And eventually some high vibe people are going to move on. And they don't see that coming. Because they so badly do not want to do things differently. They think other people so badly don't want to do things differently. And they could have all these things that manipulate them, but other people work through those things that manipulate them to free themselves from it. And that's always like their biggest fear in any relationship. Even if some of them are right now in a relationship with someone, they're always so fearful that the other people are going to work through some of their fears and insecurities and want to move forward in life differently. Because they're really fearful of moving forward in life differently. And then those people will leave. But they're really stressed either about change or doing life differently or listening to love and intuition to guide them instead of trying to control things. So we'll leave it there, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.